the image okay? Okay naman. Ayun. So, hello again. My name is Leeroy New. I am a visual artist slash designer slash creative. I am, yun nga, as was mentioned earlier, I am originally from General Santos City. Yun. And back then, yes, let's start with a little introduction with the presentation. This is like a series of images. Sige, back muna tayo sa first. Yeah. Of images I just compiled to give you like a little introduction of my background, where I'm from, where I studied, and my preoccupations recently and throughout the years. Yeah. So, to borrow a term, a title for a comic book that my friend Keith Sikat, a filmmaker, was doing, overseas Filipino worker, pinalitan niya ng outer space Filipino worker. You'll understand in a bit why. So this is work I did in Thailand, the cover image. That's me, that brown dot dun sa left. So you can see the scale. Yes, next please. And so my mom is, I guess my mom's family is originally from Siquijor. My dad's Chabacano. They're both Chinay. So, ano ako, askal ako. Ayan. Hulaan niyo kung sino ako. Yung may demonyo sa ulo. Ito. Yung mangipin. Ayan. So si Jensen to, family picture from Jensen. Next. Yan. So sa Jensen, siguro nung 90s, early 90s, wala namang art spaces sa Jensen eh. It's a tuna industry. You may know, no? It's a fishing industry, canning corporations, agriculture. So the city kind of grew from that. And yun, there wasn't art to speak of, no? We didn't have gallery spaces, there were no museums. So I had to be creative in seeking out my sources for art. So I looked towards animation, film, shake, rattle, and roll, mga kwento ng lola ko tungkol sa mga sigbin na tame niya, tapos naging pet niya, ganyan. Kasi nga, very limited yung aking exposure to art at that time. Walang internet, zero. Ngayon, you can have like hundreds of artists in the palm of your hand just browsing in an hour. No, you can have a sampling of the world's creative practices. So yun, sa akin naman, ito, I interpreted these, pop culture forms, film, media, illustrated card games, as my parang art sources nga. Mga art fair namin dati. Nutrition Month poster making contest. Yeah. So I was a big fan of vegetables. As you can see, 1994 ito. Go, glow, grow ba yun? Pero ito na lang yan. So that's me joining mga local competitions. So, yun, on top of being fascinated by monsters, aliens, I also, tried to imitate yung mga nakikita kong few paintings na nakita ko sa Jensen, yung mga the Philippine High School for the Arts. And that was kind of a game changer for me because I studied with theater majors. I was a visual arts major. There were dancers, there were musicians, there were creative writers. So holistic yung training, no? And the visual artists ended up doing designs for the sets of the performers. And in university, before we could, we could get into galleries. I was because I went to an art high school. So when we entered college, medyo impatient na kami because we felt that we had the training already. Medyo may konting yabang na, where we didn't really know anything. So we would apply to do shows sa mga galleries. Syempre, bata kami, they wouldn't accept. So we decided, who needs galleries? May mga pader naman sa kalye. So yun, this is EDSA. Me and my really good friend, Rius, we dressed up in fake MMDA uniforms. Alam mo yung MMDA? Yung mga nagme-maintain ng mga streets at sa Manila. Yan yung kulay ng uniform nila dati. So, bumili kami, nilagyan namin student volunteer sa likod. Tapos we would paint along EDSA. This was along EDSA. My interest in doing work outside to kind of meet the Filipino people halfway, I guess, in our minds, ganun medyo may messianic complex. No? Pero actually, we were just really trying to find a place for ourselves in the art scene in Philippine society. So I focused on from like painting on the streets to doing sculptural interventions in public spaces. So this is a waiting shed that greets you before you enter UP Diliman. It was the original structure is designed by the national artist Napoleon Abueva. So what I did is I got his permission, I wrapped it in spandex and inserted giant bean bags inside it, no? To kind of disrupt the form, make it more organic, more alien, versus the original, which was more geometric, angular, and very modernist. Next. Yeah, so this is these are like samples of the large-scale sculptures that I initially did after college. This was in Fukuoka for the 2009 Triennial. Like a spaceship, one-eyed spaceship inspired by our symbols of God, with the eye, embellished with yung mga pokpok, yung mga embellishments ng mga santo natin. Next, please. Yeah, that's the entrance to the museum. Next, please. Sorry, pwede paabot nung tubig. So after college then, I continued my collaborations with my performance artist friends. I learned how to apply my sculpture training to accommodate the human body, to think differently about sculpture in a way that, also benefited my performance artist friends. No? So I thought about sculpture differently. I thought about how it can be worn, how it can be performed in, how we can do experiments related to movement and the body, etc. So these are just samples, like sculptures, but also face masks or in the context of fashion. So us coming up with a series called Aliens of Manila. Now me and my friends were like talking about yung Humans of New York series na naging very popular for a time, and everyone was doing their version of Humans of New York. And we were just joking, we were drinking. Parang hindi naman tayo humans dito sa Manila. Parang alien tayo eh. Yun, so Aliens of Manila. Kasi gravitate towards these mga scenes in the city. Yung Mountain Dew bottle, di ba? Sikat na sikat, gustong-gustong gawin ng mga taong signage. Welcome to Purok, something. And then mga Christmas decor. An urban planner that I work with. And we love discovering the city, how people reclaim objects and reuse them. Ito parang parking, ang block ng parking. Sorry, using those found objects. So the image on the left is made out of toy parts. The image on the right is made out of, you're familiar siguro with, based on what it looks like now, the food covers, food strainers, funnels, pipes. Next, please. Yeah, more toy parts, more domestic objects, scrubs, etc. Next, please. Yeah, and some more examples of toy parts and more food strainers. And me in Hong Kong, and then a kid, an overseas Filipino worker with a child, came up to me while we were documenting this work. Picture daw, so yun, that's the picture that we took. There were times when we didn't have resources or money to buy materials, so we would go to recycling centers and find like for example, piles of discarded flexible hoses. Next, I was able to get those piles of conduits and transform them into something. No? But in this case, this was a commission project, so we bought new materials for this. But this was like back in 2010. No? But yeah, piece I did for Palais de Tokyo, using that same idea of using industrial materials and found objects. I gravitated towards using discards it, because people related to that part more than the part of me buying new materials. So these are some of the things that I would find. Next, please. There's like mga random off-cuts, surplus materials. These are like plastics that I don't know what they were used for. Next, please. Yan. So, actually, daming pwedeng magamit eh. Example of my approach to found objects. Next, please. Yan. This is sila after. Next, please. Yan. More samples of the salad strainers, mga pipes. And whenever I get invited to do workshops, I make the point that to say yes. Kasi it helps ground me. It helps me relate to different kinds of people and how to share my work and the ideas. Next, please. So this is like a senior community in France. Again, my friend, the urban planner. We would document the aliens of Manila. Next, please. Next, please. In different forgotten urban spaces. This is like a skate park in Paco. And then there is parang rundown playground naman somewhere nearby. Projects that we would come up with, like a floating island / performance space / floating garden. So medyo these crazy ideas that we would find a way to make happen, no? For the MMDA and worked for the MMDA for a time. So we were able to get access to the ferry system that would ferry people, but also na-convince namin sila na let's tug this thing, this weird sculptural island thing across the Pasig River and bamboo structures. So slowly, bit by bit, like moving from like industrial and plastic materials to more sustainable material and more abundant material and easy to grow. So fishing, bamboo and anahaw fishing set for the Bagani, the local fantasy show, which I was the production designer for. Next, please. This is the image you saw earlier, interactive installation for a Wonder Fruit Festival. Next, please. And so this is a little close-up of what it looks like. People were sending me images of people, regular Filipinos, that during the first month of the pandemic, were helped make mga face shields using leftover materials. Yun yung time na talagang wala eh. So like clinics were like asking the help of private individuals for anything that they could use. And so this is my team, si Jano, nandyan din. Next. And so yun yung naging practice ko nung pandemic. I did like statement face shields. We could only protest online. Next, please. Yeah. And then I started incorporating other materials into the mix, no? Like bigger bottles for like bigger spaces. Yeah, apparently ang dami nating mga ganito, yung mga blue bottles na basag-basag na apparently people don't know how to reuse them. They get old, may nagkakabutas, people don't want to use them anymore. So we found like a supplier. This is in Australia, pero here in the Philippines, ang dami pala, nakatambak lang. Here, for the Sydney Biennale. Next, please. This too. An installation at the facade of one of the partner venues. Next, please. So yun nag-evolve to like a hybrid of organic materials and reclaimed materials. This is in Busan. Next, please. Ito naman mostly plastic bottles lang yung ginamit naming cladding. Next, please. Yeah. So these are just iterations of the same idea. Next, please. Pantry sa sana lang namin, sa village lang namin. So mga magkakakilala kami niyan. And then, yeah, next please. So, I decided that, to integrate the skills that we've learned during the pandemic of planting, growing our own food, to the future installations that I would make. Jose Felix, who's an environmental scientist, he calls himself a farmer. Pero yan, so we're trying to integrate different specialties, concerns, issues into the practice of art making. Next. Yan. May mga harvest pa kami. Yun si Jose yun kanina. Next. Yan. Ito naman yung recent ongoing project ko sa La Union. So this is supposed to be built for Bunrning Man back in 2020, pero nga nagka-pandemic. But they still released the funding, allowed us to build it anywhere we want, which is nice of them. Pero they had no choice din kasi naka-alat na yung budget na yun for that. Ayan. So this is kind of like the process of the whole thing. Next. Ayan. I worked with an architect, and here it is a few months ago. Medyo nag-updated na yung itsura ngayon. Pero next. Yan. So it's a very interactive space. It's semi-architectural. I mean, it is architectural because people can go in and out. And we've been using the spaceship, we call it the spaceship, to do workshops, to shoot videos, performances, and they put exhibits inside it, no? Like a photography exhibit. So ngayon, we're trying to figure out how to program it, how to involve more of the community. May mga turtle release, activities. Kasi the turtles nest just in front of it. They actually call also, the turtle conservationists call it the giant turtle eggs din. So that's cute. Next. Yan. That's what it looks like. Oh, that muna. That's what it looks like from above. Medyo unfinished pa to nung time na yun. Next, please. This is a fragment of that thing na nagawa namin sa Bunrning Man with a team. I couldn't go, pero my collaborators built it there. Next, please. Yan. So we're also doing a film based on the construction of the spaceship. It's called Mebuyan Vessel Film, and it's funded by Search Mindscape. So, yeah, something to watch out for. I hope to be able to share that with you soon. Yeah, next. That's it. This is like a behind the scenes for when we were shooting the film. Yeah, sorry, haba. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Zach.
Straightforward. Share ko lang yung mga ibang techniques how I would transform these bottles. And then mamaya, laro lang tayo. Let's collaborate and, pwede tayo gumawa ng full body costume or mga headpieces or sculptural object, no?